Hi, Mr. Ally. I'm an old friend of yours, Tony Costa. We've debated a number of times. Hello. Just a very quick question. I was actually quite amazed tonight listening to your position on the crucifixion of Jesus, because historically my understanding has always been that, and the position of the Sunni Islam is that Jesus was not crucified, period, and that your view seems to coincide more with the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam. And my question is, have you gone Ahmadiyya on me, or are you still Sunni?
Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This video will be some sincere advice to Dr. Shabir Ally, a well-respected Muslim scholar throughout the world.
The Ahmadiyya are a group that emerged in India following a leader who said that he was the second coming of Jesus. And to justify that position, he had to say that Jesus actually was killed.
Shabir Ally, you have read enough to know that we do not believe that Hadhrat Isa was killed. Rather, we believe he died a natural death. Just because one is not killed nor crucified does not mean he is alive in the heavens. You yourself admit that the Qur'an does not say he did not die.
To be sure, the Qur'an does not actually say that he didn't die. Some people think that the Qur'an says that he didn't die, but that's not true either, because the Qur'an does not say lam yamut, he did not die. What the Qur'an says is ma qataluhu, they did not kill him. وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ, they did not crucify him. So if he died by some other means, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took his soul in a different way, while he was asleep for example, then that's not covered in the Qur'an. So they did not kill him. This is what the Qur'an is denying.
Killed and that he is buried.
According to the Quran and a Hadith, Hadhrat Isa has died and will not return. Allah states in the Quran, and Muhammad is only a messenger. Verily, all messengers have passed away before him. The Ahadith also mention that Hadhrat Isa has died and is buried. For example, the Prophet Muhammad mentioned his grave when he stated, "May Allah's curse be on the Jews and Christians, since they built places of worship at the graves of their prophets."
And in fact, he held the belief that Jesus survived the cross, he walked all his way to Kashmir in India, and that's where he is buried.
If Hadhrat Isa can go to the heavens physically according to your logic, I ask you, what is further, Kashmir or the heavens? Why do you find it difficult that he migrated to Kashmir despite this being clear from the Bible, Quran, Sunnah and historical facts? According to these sources, the mission of Hadhrat Isa was to preach to all the tribes of Israel, and these tribes were spread out. Hazrat Ahmad stated in regards to these tribes, they eventually came to India and settled in various parts of the country. Jesus had to make this journey, for the divine object underlying his mission was to meet the lost tribes of Israel who had settled in different parts of India.
Whereas Sunni Muslims believe that Jesus will be coming again a second time on the authority of many authentic reports back to the Prophet Muhammad, reported in the authentic collections like Bukhari and Muslim and so on, the Ahmadiyya group believes that Jesus will not come again because he has actually already returned in the person of the founder of that group. I believe that Jesus will be coming again.
According to the Holy Quran, Hazrat Isa has died and won't return. Furthermore, the ahadith do not mention that Isa will return, rather they use the word Nazul, which further proves the latter-day Messiah was to be someone from our Ummah. This word is used for the Prophet ﷺ, iron, and even clothing. The Holy Prophet ﷺ differentiated between both Messiahs and described them perfectly. He made it clear that the Messiah prophesied by him was someone else who was to be from our Ummah.
Now, our positions seem to intersect on the point of Jesus surviving death on the cross. I've looked at the reports that are generally followed by Sunni Muslims, understanding that someone else was substituted for Jesus on the cross. And I've seen that although there are a variety of reports, the commentators cannot agree precisely on what has happened here and how exactly a substitute was given. And it appears that they are following reports which originated in Iraq, according to an excellent analysis done by Neil Robinson, who is now a Muslim, in his book Christ in Islam and Christianity. And looking at the Quranic text itself, which is the best interpretation of itself, we see that the Quranic text ends with a summary which says, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا, they did not kill him definitely, بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ, but God raised him to himself. I take this to be a summary of the whole discussion on what has happened to Jesus. There was a plot to kill him, but they neither killed him nor crucified him in the sense of killing him by crucifixion. That is a definition that has been given in Tafsir al-Quran by Abdul Majid Daribadi, which is a Sunni tafsir on the Quran. So I'm well within my ranks and I haven't changed positions on that, but perhaps interpretations.
I thank you for your honesty, Dr. Shabir Ally, and by the grace of Allah, you have denied the substitution theory in the same way Ahmadiyya did.
He says from the Holy Quran that the Quran says there's no illattiba zan, that they are following conjecture. You see, fiction. But it says now it appeared to them, so shubbiha lahum. Now shubbiha doesn't mean that somebody was substituted. The doctor says somebody was substituted. The Quran says. Now Quran doesn't say anything to that effect.
You are slowly moving towards the ideology of Hazrat Ahmad in many things, including apostasy, and I respect you for this.
Well, the apostasy law has been much misunderstood in Islam. It became a standard law that the apostate should be put to death, and this was widely accepted in all of the major fiqh schools. But if one were to look carefully at the basis of that law, one would see that it's very shallow. There is no basis for it in the Quran. Quite the contrary. The Quran speaks about people embracing Islam, leaving it, toying with it, going back and forth. And if the Prophet Muhammad himself were killing people for doing any such thing, they wouldn't dare to do it in Medina, where the Prophet Muhammad had risen to power. So it is very clear from the Quranic evidence that there should have been no such law in Islam that the apostate should be killed. Moreover, chapter 2, verse 256 in the Quran says categorically there is no compulsion in religion. And if you force a person to remain a Muslim by threatening death if he were to dare to leave, then obviously you're contradicting the Quran. So Muslims have become comfortable in some ways in acting contrary to the Quran. They have enacted laws and made them popular, but that does not mean that that is definitive of what I would want Islam to be and what I consider to be the religion of God as taught in the Quran.
Now, since you have quoted Tafsir Majidi, I believe we should study some extra verses written in this tafsir, as the views of this scholar further prove us to be true. Under Surah Al Imran, verse 55, he states that Mutawafika means death. Under Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 117, he admits that Tawaffaytani means death, and also says that on the Day of Judgment, Hadhrat Isa has no knowledge of the shirk the Christians did. But if Isa was alive and returned before the Day of Judgment, as Shabir Ally believes, how then can his own Mufassir claim that he has no knowledge of their shirk? Does Shabir Ally believe that Hadhrat Isa will lie to Allah? Hazrat Ahmad stated, O Muslims, listen, God has communicated this tidings to you through me, and I have conveyed the message. Now it is for you to heed or not to heed. The plain truth is that Jesus, on whom be peace, is dead, and I swear by God that I am the promised one who was to appear. And this too is an undeniable fact that Islam lives if Jesus dies.
मैं उस खुदा की इज्जत और जलाल की कसम खा के कहता हूँ जिसके हाथ में मेरी जान और तमाम अहमदियों की जान है कि अगर वाकईतन ईसा जिंदा है और हम झूठे हैं तो हम सबको हलाक कर दे और नेस्त नाबूद कर दे, मगर खुदा की कसम ईसा मर चुका है और इस्लाम जिंदा है। आज इस्लाम की जिंदगी तुमसे एक विद्या चाहती है, वो क्या है? ईसा की मौत। इसलिए ईसा को मरने दो, इसी में इस्लाम की जिंदगी है।
Now, what is the main thing that separates the Ahmadiyya community from the Sunnis? In India, within the last couple of hundred years, there arose a leader who was a Sunni and who was a defender of Islam against many critics, and he debated with people of other faiths.
I appreciate your truthfulness. Hazrat Ahmad was indeed the greatest defender of the faith, and his arguments are used till today to defend Islam from every attack.
Eventually, he began to claim that he is the second coming of Jesus, that Jesus wouldn't actually come down from the sky as Sunnis generally believe, but some person would represent Jesus in a way in which John the Baptist was said to be Elijah, now in a way kind of like in a new person, not the same flesh and blood Elijah come down from the sky as some people would have expected at the time, but a new person somehow living in the spirit of Elijah. So in a similar way, he said that I am this new, I am the Messiah, the expected one. He's not coming from the sky.
This is true and also proven from the Qur'an and Sunnah. The Messiah you await has died and will never return, as the dead do not physically return to the world. The Holy Prophet himself made it clear that the latter-day Messiah was to be someone different than the Messiah sent to Bani Israel. The Messiah you await has already come, and he is none other than Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam.
Salli ala Nabiyyina, Salli ala Muhammadin.